What if the highest ROI lever for your health, one factor that dials in absolutely everything when it comes to your fitness, wasn't actually what you thought it was? Because early on I thought it was my training and my workout. Eventually I saw that nutrition was just as, if not more important, and started focusing on that. But then I saw how recovery significantly impacted both my training and my nutrition, and so I started prioritizing that. So it was finally after 3.5 years of reaching this point within my overall health and fitness journey that it then finally hit me. The biggest needle movers aren't actually training, nutrition, or recovery. It's something called bioindividuality. In other words, understanding the unique nature of your own body, learning to actually respect its signals and what works and doesn't work well for it. I see now that any health issue is simply a byproduct of disrespecting your own body, going against the way it was always designed to function since birth, based on your own history within health and fitness. And so when it came to understanding the many problems that I've personally experienced within my own health journey over the past 3.5 years, things such as muscle imbalances, gut issues, low quality sleep, all of these issues across my training, nutrition, and recovery came downstream from one root cause: my body being stuck in a chronic state of stress, living in that fight or flight state 24/7, being sympathetic dominant without ever truly experiencing that parasympathetic rest and digest state. So within identifying that real root cause when it came to my lack of health and physical alignment, I realized the main culprit of my chronic stress pointed to one thing: my effed up posture. For so long I was always treating the symptoms of my poor, misaligned health, constantly changing up my exercises and splits within my training, spamming diet trends and obsessing over the specific foods I was eating within my nutrition, doing all of the hacks like sauna, sleep supplements, stretching, mobility when it came to my recovery. It wasn't until the middle of 2025 I actually started to zoom out and finally start looking at the bigger picture. Actually ask myself why my physique, my gut health, and my stress levels were out of whack. Intuitively, I started reflecting on my first few months in the gym, running it up at the Planet Fitness with the free summer pass back in high school. But that nostalgia quickly turned into me coming face to face with a harsh truth. For a long time, I always noticed I had like these weird muscle imbalances that just didn't look or feel right. One bicep being bigger than the other, one side of my chest popping out more. And so I figured it was just a lack of unilateral single arm training that was the problem. But when I spammed the single arm curls and the single arm presses, nothing changed. So naturally, because of that lack of experience that I had back then, I simply just gave up and accepted the fact that maybe my body was just naturally misaligned. But the thing is, back then I never thought to actually consider how my posture played into all of these. Not just the muscle imbalances, but the later issues I'd go on to eventually experience when it came to my gut issues, when it came to chronic stress. So when I started actually going down the rabbit hole of my effed up posture, it directly originated from those early days within my fitness journey when I had absolutely zero clue about anything when it came to health. More specifically, I realized all of the powerlifting and PR chasing I was doing across squat, bench, and deadlift early on. That was the catalyst of both my misaligned posture and chronic stress, especially mixed grip deadlifting with absolutely terrible form that essentially caused all of these health issues I've experienced thus far. All of my muscle imbalances were from the combination of tight and weak muscle groups from that trash deadlifting form. My gut and digestive issues came from just constantly holding tension in my upper abs and my organs being out of whack due to having a weak core and a pushed in spine. My chronic stress largely came from just never being able to breathe properly in terms of ever experiencing a full exhale. I was always stuck in like this inhale mode, and thus I could never fully relax within my daily life. It was through finally understanding the real root cause when it came to all of these health issues that I finally committed myself to stop chasing and treating the symptoms. I just had this conviction that if I finally nailed my posture, everything else would fall into place when it came to my physique, my digestion, and overall energy and vitality. I started going down the rabbit hole of posture to finally fix it once and for all. Things like fascia, grounding, breath work, mobility, stretching, somatic, trying to hold perfect posture 24/7 in my daily life, and even just stepping away entirely from strength and hypertrophy training, spamming articles and YouTube videos, just trying to learn and understand what actions I need to take to finally realign my posture. Because of how new and inexperienced I was to this whole idea of reversing years of effed up posture, I was constantly on and off when it came to all of these things. I got absolutely humbled big time once I realized how much actually goes in to fixing your misaligned posture. How much knowledge I just lacked, considering all I used to train for was just bodybuilding and powerlifting. So I was always inconsistent and could never truly commit myself to actually fixing my posture, even though I knew it was the one thing that would solve everything when it came to my health and fitness. I was just so attached to the outcome that the effort I put in was never sustainable. I'd look in the mirror and see the same effed up posture looking back at me after just days and weeks of strictly training for it. And because of how comfortable the usual hypertrophy and strength training were for me, I'd eventually just resort back to that, basically reversing all of the progress that I had made by stressing my body even more with all of that heavy lifting just for the dopamine hit that came from that style of training, right? Taking sets to failure, getting the pump. For months, it was constantly me just jumping from going all in on posture to eventually just giving up because I didn't see any visible progress. The reality was that I was still operating from an identity that lacked respect for my own body, cared more about short-term aesthetics and optimization more than actual longevity and long-term health. Funny enough, I realize now that the identity that I was living from was actually more responsible for my chronic stress than my posture itself. Because if the internal equals the external, then my effed up posture was just simply a reflection of my inner world being stuck in that state of chronic stress and misalignment. So it's why over the past 1.5 months of finally detaching from that broken foundation I was trying to build off of, actually finally starting to reverse years of poor posture in what feels like such a short time. It genuinely took me hitting the reset button on my entire health and fitness. I stopped hitting the gym and doing any sort of resistance training or cardio to just fully lock in on fixing my posture. I became more consistent with my meals instead of always just unnecessarily restricting myself with these extended fasts and just eliminating foods 24/7. Easily the biggest shift came from initially sacrificing my sleep for daily productivity to now actually sleeping like my life depends on it. Genuinely only after rebuilding my health in this way that I finally committed myself to actually fixing my posture once and for all. This time from an identity grounded in embracing my bioindividuality and seeking that long-term healing for my body. Just from prioritizing things like 90-90 breath work and gradually building strength and stability within my core. My breathing has literally 10x compared to how it was just 1 to 2 weeks ago. It feels like I'm finally making progress now that I've genuinely stripped away everything that once held me back. Overtraining, the over-restriction of my nutrition, the under-recovery and overall mental and physical stress. Sacrificing that attachment towards high-intensity training to finally embrace long-term gain over short-term growth. Overall, just breaking free from that identity that reinforced that I was a man of chronic mental and physical stress, and now having parasympathetic dominance be my new internal foundation instead of constant fight or flight when it comes to my overall health. So all this is to say, embrace your own bio-individuality when it comes to understanding and respecting your own body. Because no matter how hard I tried to dial in my training, my nutrition, my recovery, living from an identity that failed to view and treat my body like the temple it was was the biggest thing holding me back. All of my physical problems were simply a byproduct of spiritual misalignment on the identity level. So what feels like literal magic now when it comes to the improvements I've made within my breathing and overall posture, I realize now this is simply what embracing your bio-individuality looks like. Giving your body room to breathe and heal itself instead of trying to force it to fix itself. Chronic stress was a blend of both physical and spiritual misalignment. But you don't fix the reflection, right? In this case, your body, by changing the reflection. You change the image that's creating the reflection, right? AKA your identity and inner world. Actually addressing the root cause when it comes to your overall health and well-being, because the Bible straight up reinforces this, right? Jesus said it himself. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, then you will bear much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. God is the vine and root while we are the branches. Unless we live from that strong spiritual internal foundation, nothing truly meaningful will come out of our lives. And if the physical is simply a parallel of the spiritual, then it's no different when it comes to our health and how our bodies function. Unless you prioritize the root of bio-individuality, your issues across training, nutrition, or recovery will just simply stay the same. Apart from respecting your own body, you will never experience real long-term healing for it. I see clearly now the similarities between health and fitness and spirituality. Aiming to live and operate from the roots instead of blindly chasing and treating the symptoms. So I will continue to be both a man of God and a man of bio-individuality within pursuing that 2.0 self. Respecting my own intuition and bodily signals above all else within strengthening my soul and my body. So to ensure you can actually apply this principle and idea of bio-individuality within your own life, here's an actionable for alignment for this video. With whatever issue you're currently experiencing within your health and fitness journey, start with the root of bio-individuality, not how you can further optimize your training, nutrition, or recovery. Those things will naturally fall into place when you dial in the root of it all. So reflect on your fitness journey as a whole on both the internal and physical level. Internally, what identities or beliefs might you have about how you treat your body that are actually holding you back? For me, it was being a man attached to overtraining, sacrificing sleep, and over-optimization in general. For you, maybe it's a toxic relationship with food or just staying up late to avoid sitting with your thoughts at night. Basically, whatever you feel intuitively misaligns you from being that man that actively respects, embraces, and treats his body with love. Then physically, what signs and signals has your body been actively giving you to reinforce the necessity to switch things up? For me, it was the muscle imbalances, the gut issues, the effed up posture, and just overall chronic stress. It could very well also be your stress level or something else like a lack of energy during your workouts, feeling bloated and tired after your meals, or just feeling sore and tight 24/7. Pause. Overall though, it's through reflecting on these that it should become clear how you can start prioritizing longevity and long-term gain within your health. Realigning both your identity and overall fitness when it comes to your training, nutrition, and recovery. Above all though, I want you to leave this video with that intention to finally start addressing and seeking the root causes rather than the symptoms. Not even just within your health, but within any area or aspect of your life when it comes to work, your relationships, your overall lifestyle. Since aligning towards being a roots first man within all that I do, it's completely transformed the way I approach life. More simplicity, more progression and growth, and most importantly, right, more fulfillment within just simply playing the game of life every single day. All because I stopped treating the symptoms of my problems and actually started looking at the roots of each. Especially within my own health journey over these past 3.5 years, that root is simply your bio-individuality and how willing you are to respect your own body. Because if God knows you better than you know yourself on the spiritual level, best believe you know your body better than anyone else on the physical level. So make it a genuine lifelong commitment to just discover, embrace, and understand your own bioindividuality for the sake of your long-term health. And with that, another episode of 365 Aligned is in the books, baby. I feel like this was especially a powerful one, considering it perfectly ties in the spiritual and the physical, highlighting the fact that fitness and identity truly go hand in hand. What the soul demands, the body becomes type shit, right? Shout out Mike Mensa. Nonetheless, if this resonated at all in terms of approaching health from more of that holistic lens of bioindividuality, even just within the overarching idea of addressing roots over symptoms, we'll continue to drop more downloads I receive from God himself within these YouTube videos as part of 365 Aligned. 365 days of aligning myself mentally, physically, and spiritually towards that 2.0 version of myself. Simply sharing what I learned and experienced within the process of unlocking that new identity. Just diving more into my own personal philosophy of mind, body, soul alignment, right? Self-mastery, overall identity transformation within these just past 2 years of pursuing that highest version of myself. So if you feel that's something that aligns with you personally, lock in for next episode. As always, appreciate you for making it this far, and I genuinely hope that this video is helping you actively step closer into your own best self, right? That own 2.0 version of you. Well then, stay aligned.